Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kelsey, aka the Empress, and we are back with another pick a card reading, and we are looking at messages from our past lives. So out in front of you, we have 3 different decks to choose from. So go ahead, take a deep breath, really ground yourself, connect to your intuition, and ask which one of these 3 tarot decks is holding the messages from your past lives that you need at the time that you find yourself at this video. And here we have group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3, and I will have the timestamps to the beginning of each reading in the description box below, as well as in the pinned comment. So go ahead, take your time, pause the video if you still need a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to group number 1. Hello, my beautiful group number 1. Those of you that chose deck number 1 here, this reading's for you, and we are looking at messages from a past life. So the point of this here is to tap into the energy of who you were and the life you lived previously, to look at any experiences that your past self wants to highlight that may be relevant to you now, any experiences or lessons or any information that your past self would like to pass on to you now that is relevant to something in your current present moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Group number 1, we're going to start off by pulling an overall energy of what your past self wants to talk to you about, your past life self. So tuning into the souls of group number 1. What does group number 1's past life self want to talk about today? For group number 1, please. I'm getting a very strong ringing in my left ear. Some of you guys may be dealing with some sort of drama or gossip is something that I want to say, and also some sort of like activation of some clairaudient abilities. So I'm hearing like listen to what people around you are saying, whether it be to you, around you, about other people. There's a need to listen to the words that people are saying. Interesting. All right, so group number 1, we have New Dawn. So there's a very strong air element coming in here. Some of you guys may be air signs. You may be dealing with an air sign, or have a lot of like activations in your 3rd, 7th, or 11th house going on right now. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But this is the energy of, clairaudience. This is the energy of communication, intellect, wisdom. There's something here where your past life self is really wanting you to become aware, to awaken to the power of words, the power that words hold, the power that words hold, regardless of whether or not they're true even. So there's something here about not only listening, but being very aware of what it is that you're choosing to believe in regards to what you're hearing. Interesting. So I'm not sure what's going on, group number 1, with you, but somebody may be trying to tell you something, or convince you that somebody is, wishing you harm, or that somebody is doing you wrong, or that somebody's going to take advantage of you, or and there's I want to say that there is a need to take that with a grain of salt. I feel like there is a sense of underlying jealousy here. Group number 1. Interesting. A lot of readings don't really come out like this, so this is kind of a different vibe, a different energy coming in here for group number 1. And it feels very relevant to like a current present moment kind of dilemma that you're currently experiencing in your social world. So in your relationships. Some of you guys may have somebody coming to you telling you your significant other or the person that you're courting or dating is going to leave you or going to cheat on you. Some of you guys may be hearing people say negative or bad things about people that you're friends with or about people that are connected to your family in some way, shape, or form. And a big message here is to just be careful what you latch onto in regards to those words. Don't allow somebody else's words to alter your perception of people, okay? Have your own experiences. Don't use other people's experiences to dictate the course of the relationships that you have. Group number 1. Interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and get some tarot and go a little deeper into this message for group number 1 and what your past life self wants you to know right now. Group number 1, please. I'm really seeing this as like this lady coming up out of the water, and you know how when you're underwater you can't really hear or everything's distorted, right? I really feel for group number 1 that there is going to be like a sudden ability activation when it comes to like clairaudience, like I said, but also like a clarity coming in here. So you may hear people say things, but really understand what is driving them to say things or what they actually mean by the things that they're saying, instead of just taking their words at face value. Because a lot of the times when some individuals speak about others, they're speaking from their own jealousy or from their own grief or from their own heartbreak or from their own experience or from their own perception. And there's going to be like this clarity of being able to see behind the words, behind that veil of words that they're using to deflect. Interesting. So group number 1, we have the Ace of Wands. And this is very, very new dawn energy. There's a new spark. Some of you guys may be starting a new relationship or a new job potentially, and it's kind of like a new social dynamic where you're not sure who's who or who to believe, or you know, if what people say about other coworkers is true. The Ace of Wands is also like activations. This is like activating a new phase in life for you, group number 1. Your ability to see through people's shields, and people are, these shields that people are using are their words that they speak about others right now, and you're able to see through that. You're able to see through people's projections right now. And I'm not entirely sure, this is a general reading, so I'm not entirely sure why this is so relevant for you. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but there's a need to really pay attention to this particular energy right now. Like, what is it that you're actually seeing? A lot of reflection going on here. We also have the Two of Swords. Not knowing who to trust, as well as for some of my souls here, not knowing how to trust yourself. So group number 1, a lot of you may be going through a certain kind of awakening right now to your own intuition or to your ability to trust yourself, and realizing that maybe trusting others so easily has caused more harm than good in your life. So for a lot of my group number 1 souls here, it's almost as though you've always taken the outside opinions or the outside advice or the outside words, whether it be from one particular person or from a group of people or just from others in general, as more valid than your own. And I feel like right now you're kind of at this checkmate energy where you're realizing that not everything that you hear should impact or affect your perception or your belief system, as well as you are beginning to hear your own intuition. And I feel like group number one, a big message here is learning how to validate yourself instead of needing other people to tell you where to go or how to move or whether or not you're doing something right. For some of you guys, there is like this essence of conflict or tension between you and somebody else. And the Two of Swords here is saying that you're entering into a time of kind of neutrality or of truce where things may settle in order for you to gain clarity before moving forward. Interesting. We also have the Chariot. And this is where you move forward. This is where you drive off into the sunrise here. This is being in control of self. So I feel like group number one, a lot of you guys may be really questioning like what is happening in your life right now or where you're meant to go from here. And I really feel like you guys have really navigated and weathered a lot of storms. You've navigated the chaos, and through this chaos, you're really learning how to maintain self-control, how to be in control of yourself instead of needing that outside validation or needing somebody else to tell you where to go. Having that self-discipline and that control, and learning that it's so powerful in regards to the progress you can make on your own path. And I feel like you guys are going to be making a very large leap in regards to your progress or your success very soon, in like the next 7 weeks. There's going to be like a jump in your success or a jump in like the progress in your journey, that's going to be very evident for you because of all of the work that you've done. I hope this is making sense for you, group number one. Let's go ahead and pull you one final message from your past life self here. Any last guidance or advice, actions you should be taking for group number one. So the big message here is to really listen, and listen to the intention, listen to the root of where these words are coming from instead of just the words themselves. Okay. But we have here achievement, win the award, accolade, or contract. You guys, I love that. I'm not sure why the lighting here is struggling, but I love that. Like I said, there is going to be like a major advancement for group number one here, and it may happen very quickly, like very suddenly for you. Okay, so your past life self just wants you to know that, this work that you've been doing is going to pay off, as well as really learning, for some reason, there's something about needing to listen, behind the words, needing to really become aware of how other people's words influence or impact you and your belief system and your own perception and your own opinions of the world, and really learning how to separate yourself from other people's perception. but this is what I'm seeing for my beautiful group number 1. If you enjoyed this reading, if it resonated with you, if it brought you value, please hit that like button, as it truly does help to support the channel. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this reading. Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out when I post future videos like this. I thank you so very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, my beautiful group number 2. Those of you that chose deck number 2 here, this reading's for you, and we are looking at messages from your past life self. So the point of this is to bring forth messages from your past life in regards to certain lessons learned or experiences that your past life self had that are relevant to your current present moment or experiences. Okay, so group number 2, let's go ahead and get right into your reading. We're going to start by pulling like an overall energy in regards to what your past life self wants to talk to you about at this moment for group number 2. Okay. So let's go ahead. Group number 2, we have resilience. So group number 2, some of you guys may be feeling like giving up on something. It's been a long, hard road, is what I heard. It's been a long, hard road. Group number 2, I'm hearing your past life self say that sometimes being strong, sometimes being resilient means allowing yourself to stop and grieve or mourn the life that you used to live, or allow yourself the time and space, like give yourself the space, hold the space for yourself to process the journey that you've been on, instead of feeling like you have to plow through, like you have to continue to keep going even though you're so worn down. So group number 2, you guys are my fighters, you guys are my survivors, you guys have been through the ringer, and I feel like for a lot of you guys, your past life self wants to come forth and say sometimes being strong doesn't mean to plow through these challenges or these obstacles. Sometimes it takes more strength and more courage to stop, to give yourself time, to give yourself space, to give yourself kindness and gentleness, and to care for yourself and to take care of your needs. So group number 2, some of you guys may deal with your emotions, your grief, anger, things like this in a way where it's almost like you're subconsciously running away from it by continuing to plow through work and continuing, like drowning yourself in work, drowning yourself in your chores or in the tasks that you have to do for other people, really keeping yourself very busy and very distracted. And your past life self is saying that it's time to stop. It's time to slow down. It's time to give yourself the rest and the space that you need. And that is a form of strength, group number 2. And your past life self really wants to emphasize that like your past life self is really recognizing the strength and the courage that it takes for you to stop, that it takes for you to slow down. Okay, let's go ahead and pull some tarot and go a little deeper into this message for group number 2, please. So what I'm hearing right now is that for some of you guys, the belief system that you have around what it means to be strong or what strength means is very limited. You look at strength as brute force. There's 4 that want to come out here. You look at strength maybe as a physical trait or as like one very specific way of being, and your past life self is really wanting you to recognize and realize and embrace and embody the fact that strength comes in so many different forms. Okay, so group number 2, we have the 2 of chalices. really what I heard with this, as soon as I looked at it, was there's a need to find somebody to help you carry this burden. Some of you guys, you may need to, you know, find a therapist or a counselor or somebody that you can talk to. Or maybe it's a romantic partner, or maybe it's a family member that there's a need to ask for help. There's a need to allow yourself to ask for help. A lot of you guys may really struggle with this because you may feel ashamed, or you may feel like it's there's something here where it's like, I can do it myself, I don't need anybody's help, or kind of like the subconscious belief pattern that you are living in, where you feel like it makes you look bad in some way, or unworthy, or incapable if you have to ask for help. And your past life self is really, really wanting you to know that it doesn't, okay? There's kind of like some ego healing that's trying to go on here, I think, for group number 2, okay? Really allowing somebody to see you while you're vulnerable, or while what you're perceiving as weak is actually strength. It takes courage to allow people to see you in that raw state. We also have the 10 of Wands coming out in reverse. Yes, put the burdens down. Group number 2, put the burdens down. Allow yourself to rest. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders all by yourself. I feel like you guys have taken on a lot of responsibility out of this idea that nobody else was going to pick it up. That doesn't mean that you have to. Okay, and I feel like that's something that you've kind of convinced yourself of, that, well, nobody else is going to do it, so I guess this is my job now. I guess I have to do this too. And there's a lot of like bitterness and resentment that is built up because of this. But when somebody else asks you if they can help or what they can do, you tell them nothing, or you tell them, I don't need any help, or I have this, don't worry about me, you know, worry about yourself. So there's a need for acknowledgement here that you can share this weight. And there's a need, I feel, for group number 2 to recognize that you're carrying this weight all by yourself out of like out of ego. Okay? And I don't want to say this like it's a bad thing, because it's not. Our ego isn't a bad thing. Our ego is necessary for us to live in this 3D world. And I want you guys to know that. Does it need healing? Does it need, you know, working with? A lot of the times, yes, it does. But I feel like group number 2 doesn't make you toxic necessarily. I know a lot of people talk about the ego, and they talk about being egotistical and narcissistic and all of this. And this can go in a different, it doesn't always have to go in that way. It can be very internal too, like very much so internalized, where you are almost like toxic to yourself out of this desperate need to not allow anybody else to have to carry any weight or any grief or any responsibility, like this desperate need to hold all of the burden yourself out of this desperate need for nobody else to have to feel the way you did, especially if it's your family or siblings or your own children that you feel that you are supposed to protect from the life that you lived. And group number 2, your past life self is coming forth saying, like, you don't have to protect them from the life that you lived, because the life that you lived is already behind you. The part of the life that you lived is already happened. Nobody else can go back and experience the life that you have lived, and you're protecting them from your past. So there's kind of a little bit of like an abstract perception going on here that you're viewing the world through as well, that your past life self really wants you to acknowledge. That doesn't mean that how you feel or the wounds that were left aren't real. And that brings me back to kind of the beginning of this, like, so there's a need to stop, a need to process what you've been through in order to be able to move forward. group number 2, we have the Nine of Swords. Yeah, see, there's so much like anxiety and stress and worry around you guys, like worrying about what's next or what I have to do, or not having enough time to do all of the chores that you have to do, or to do all of the tasks, or really worrying about anybody else having to pick up your slack. I feel like group number 2, a lot of you guys are really worried about somebody else having to come behind you and do the things that you couldn't complete. Or like, I'm seeing this in a way where maybe you're living in a home with somebody and you do all the laundry, you do all the dishes, you do all the cleaning, all the cooking, all the errands, all of the, maybe childcare, all of the appointments, like every single thing. And maybe one day you didn't have enough time to get to the dishes, and it's like when your partner or your spouse or your family member that you're living with, or your friend, your roommate comes home, you feel the need to make up for the fact that you didn't get the dishes done, like you've done something wrong, even though this person has never, reprimanded you or punished you for any of this. That's something that you guys experienced in the past, I feel like. Maybe you were raised that way, or maybe a previous relationship, or whatever it might be for you. But you're still living as though that's something that's still happening. Like constantly trying to prove yourself, constantly trying to prove to other people that you can be better, that you can do more, that, they don't have to worry about anything. Your past life self really wants you to stop and heal. And your past life self is very much so acknowledging that that is going to take strength and courage for you. We also have the Six of Cups. Yes, healing from your past. You guys may have some sort of like flashbacks or memories that are coming up even during this reading. But your past life self is saying, remember who you wanted to be. Remember who you used to be, potentially, for some of you guys. There's a need to remember who you are at your core, in your soul. And work on finding your way back to that person, back to your soul, instead of needing to prove yourself to others, to prove that you can be what other people need, to prove that you can carry the weight of the world, to prove that... I just really feel like group number 2, you guys are constantly trying to be everything to somebody. You're constantly trying to make sure that every single thing they could ever possibly want or need is tended to, out of this idea that you have to do that because that's what love is, or you have to do that because if you don't, then you're going to get in trouble. And there's a strong need to heal from that, group number 2, okay? So let's go ahead and pull you one final message, group number 2. Any last guidance or advice that your past life self wants you to have at this time for group number 2, please. Working with the solar plexus chakra, I feel, would be very beneficial for you. And like I said, finding somebody that you can talk to, finding a counselor or a therapist or a friend or somebody that you can work with over time to really go through all of this. Because, like, it's one thing to tell somebody about your childhood. It's one thing to tell somebody about something that you experienced, but it's another thing to dig into it and to dig into the emotions that it caused you, and the behavioral changes that it caused in you, and the shift in perception that it created within you, and the shift in perception of self that it created in you, and all of those things. And I feel like that's where you really need to go, group number 2, is like really digging into how those things impacted and affected you versus just that they happened. Okay, we have here Tree of Life, true wisdom and making good choices in life. So I feel like group number 2, a big part of this Tree of Life message here has to do with making the choice to stop, to slow down, to make the changes that need to be made. And that's where the true wisdom lies at, right? Is like having the ability to make the decisions even though they may be difficult, or even though they may go against how you would normally act in a situation or react, or how you would normally go about your day. There's a strong need to change up your routine, to change this very persistent charge ahead, charge through everything, charge through every obstacle kind of perception of your everyday life, group number 2. Okay, but this is what I'm seeing for my beautiful souls that chose this pile. If you enjoyed this reading, if it resonated with you, if it brought you value, please hit that like button, as it truly does help to support the channel and helps to get this reading out to other people who may need to hear these messages. Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out when I post future videos like this. I thank you guys so incredibly much for joining me here today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, my beautiful group number 3. Those of you that chose the Hush Tarot, this reading is for you, and we are looking at messages from our past life. So the point of this reading is to connect to our past life self and bring forth any messages, any guidance that our past life self has for us, in a way where the way I am intending to go through this reading is to bring forth our past life and have our past life self share information from an experience, a lesson, or an aspect of life that they have experienced that is relevant to your current experience, to your current life at the time that you find yourself at this video. So these messages are meant to help guide you through your present moment at the time that you find yourself here, through some aspect in your life. Okay, so group number 3, let's go ahead and get into your reading. We're going to start off by pulling an overall energy or theme of this message from your past life self for group number 3. So I'm hearing mark making. Some of you guys could be artists, but what I'm really feeling with this is that there is a strong need to really leave your mark, to make your mark, to shoot your shot, if you will, to leave something behind when you go. It's like a very strong desire here. So group number 3, your past life self could be coming forth in regards to like your soul purpose or your life purpose, or how to really make your mark. And I mean that in a way where it's like your name is remembered after you're gone here, or what you did is remembered, or what you made is remembered after you're gone here. Interesting. So group number 3, some of you guys, your past life self was somebody who may even still be remembered today for something that they did, or maybe you were an artist in a past life and you were a famous artist after you died. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting here, almost like you couldn't gain any traction while you were alive in this past life, but once you died, the work that you had done drastically increased in value and is still known today. And I feel like group number 3, a lot of you guys here are meant to make a mark and see that success while you're still living. Interesting. Group number 3, let's go ahead. We have cycles of life. Okay. So I feel like group number 3, a lot of you guys may really struggle with staying with one thing. You may really struggle with like choosing what you want to do, or like There's something very daunting about like maybe going to college and being like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, because I don't feel like you guys are that person. And that's okay. And I feel like you're meant to kind of embrace this free spirit aspect of yourself, group number 3. You're meant to embrace the ebbs and flows of your interests and your hobbies, because the only way you're going to gain the experience and the knowledge and the wisdom that you need to get to this version of yourself that can make this big mark is by experiencing all of these ebbs and flows and allowing yourself to experiment and to explore and to try new things. Trying new things can be very difficult for a lot of souls, especially people who tend to change interests very quickly, may receive a lot of ridicule, or may even just feel bad because it's like, well, I was hyper fixated on this thing and then I just lost interest. And you may kind of have this tendency to feel guilty about that, or feel like you shouldn't invest in something that piques your interest because you're just going to move on from it in 6 months anyways. And your past life self is saying that you should definitely explore your passions and your interests, and don't allow yourself to feel bad for wanting to experience more of life, for wanting more in life. That's not something that you need to feel guilty about. A lot of people feel guilty about wanting more, about wanting to be more, about wanting to leave a mark, wanting to leave a legacy, wanting people to remember who they were, or maybe even wanting to be wealthy for some of you guys. And that's not a bad thing. And I just really want you guys to know that it's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. I know in today's world there's so much controversy in regards to, well, you should just be happy with what you have. You should be grateful for what you have. You should be content with, a simple life. You should be a minimalist. You should, be okay with less. And for some people, that's the path that's right for them, and that's beautiful. But for some people, it's not. And that is okay too. Okay, we are all here to experience life in our own way, and don't let yourself feel bad for wanting something different than what you feel is expected of you, or what you feel. I just really feel some of you guys have some people around you that make you feel bad for wanting to grow, for wanting to be more, for wanting more. I'm just really hearing like these people saying, well, you're so blessed already, or you should be happy with what you have, because there's people in this world that don't have what you have. And that's true. Yes, that doesn't mean just because you want more, it doesn't mean you're ungrateful for what you have now. And I really feel like your past life self is very passionate about this. It's okay to want more. You don't have to feel guilty or feel bad or feel like you're doing something wrong or be ashamed because you want to live a different life than what other people think you should live or think you should have. A lot of the times when people say things like this, it's coming from a place of fear or jealousy potentially, or shame in themselves. A lot of people don't want us to outgrow them. A lot of people don't want us to do better or be bigger or more successful than they are, because it's intimidating, because it proves these limiting beliefs wrong that a lot of people hold within themselves. And that may be something that you're experiencing as well right now. But your past life self is saying absolutely explore, experiment, and continue to grow. Okay, so let's pull some tarot, group number 3, and go a little deeper into this message that your past life self has for you. Group number 3, please. We have the Magician. I love it. I really feel like group number 3, you guys are meant to create in many different ways. I'm seeing the traditional magician card holds the wand, the pentacle, the sword, and the chalice. And it's like you're meant to create through all 4 of those avenues. And maybe those avenues will come back together in one big kind of creation later down the road, but you have to kind of branch out and explore each one of those avenues first. So if we look at these, you know, the 4 suits, the 4 different tools, it's like each one is a path, each one is a different interest, each one is a different passion, each one is a different hobby, each one is a different creation. And you have to do all 4 of those to learn how to make the one, to learn how to bring them all together into this one big creation that's really going to leave that mark, right? So allow yourself to explore, allow yourself to create. We have the Empress, creation, abundance, beauty, luxury. You guys are really meant to live that life. You're really meant to have the abundance and the luxury. And I feel like this is something that your soul is very called to. You may be a Taurus or a Libra. You may have a lot of Venus placements within your chart. There's just very strong Venus energy here, and Venus is all about, you know, this could also be our career, this could be our business, but our wealth as well. Sensational is something that I'm hearing for group number 3. You're meant to be a sensation, and you're meant to experience all of the different sensations of success. Interesting. Allow yourself to indulge in your passions, indulge into your interests, indulge into your learning, into your growing, into your experimenting, indulge into your life. Group number 3. Overcome that fear or that guilt that keeps you from doing that. And a lot of the times that guilt is rooted in other people's perceptions of how they think they would live your life if they were in your shoes, or how they think you should live your life because of how their life is going at this moment. We also have the 3 of Cups. So you guys are group number 3. We have the Empress is the number 3 in the major arcana. The 3 of Cups, and the Magician is 1, and 3 and 1 is 4 with the cycles of life. So I do feel like there's a lot of like signs, synchronicities happening for you, and there's a need to kind of trust those at this moment, group number 3. Especially with this cycles of life, because 3 really kind of represents wholeness. So I feel like that's what this is trying to bring you towards. Your past life self is saying, in order to feel full, in order to feel fulfilled, there is a need to really indulge and celebrate your life in the way that you want to live it, instead of feeling bad because you have more than somebody else, or because you want more, or because you're wealthy or you're successful, or however that might end up coming through for you. You're allowed to enjoy the life that you create, and you're allowed to create the life that you desire. The 3 of Cups talks about celebration. It talks about coming together. It talks about good friends. It talks about good times. It talks about a party potentially for some of you guys, celebrating yourself, celebrating your life. Some of you guys may have a birthday coming up, or there may be a very significant kind of life event occurring on or around your birthday in regards to your success, or in regards to your abundance or your creations. Raise your cup to yourself. You don't need other people to tell you to go for it. You don't need other people to raise their glass to you. You don't need other people to tell you it's okay to indulge. Your past life self is saying, in order for you to fill that void that is inside of you, you must indulge in the life that you really are truly desiring, instead of feeling bad that others live in a lack mentality, or that others didn't live the same life that you did, or however that might come through for you. It is going to be a little different for everybody because this is a general reading, but however that comes through for you. Okay, so let's go ahead, group number 3, and pull one final message. Any last guidance or advice from your past life self? So really overall, we're hearing to really allow yourself to create the abundance and the success and the wealth and the luxury that you desire. You're allowed to live that life. You're allowed to want that life, group number 3. You're allowed to want that life. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you heartless. It doesn't make you careless. It makes you exactly who you're meant to be in this lifetime. We have here dragonfly. You bring light to this world. So I do feel like group number 3, your past life self wants you to know that. A lot of the wealth and the abundance and the luxury that you're meant to live in here is kind of like a reward for your soul. I feel like you guys have gone through a lot of different life cycles, a lot of different lifetimes. You've experienced a lot of lack, a lot of poverty, and in this lifetime you're meant to come out of that as a reward for all of the light work that you've done, for all of the shifting of vibrations that you've done, for all of the giving that you've done. It's like the universe is giving back to you, okay? And that doesn't even mean that, you know, when you have this, if you have this already, that you can't share it, or that you can't give, or that you can't give to charity, or that you can't, you know, throw a party and invite everybody you know so that they can experience this luxury as well. That also activates people. That also spreads light. You guys are a light worker. I feel you are somebody who came to this earth to really help shift the frequency and the vibration and the mindset around money. You know, we hear all the time, money is the root of all evil. And I feel like you guys, there's a part of your purpose here where you're meant to help shift that perspective. And the universe is giving back to you because of that, okay? I love that for you guys. So this is what I'm seeing for my beautiful group number 3. If you enjoyed this reading, if it resonated with you, if it brought you value, please hit that like button, as it truly does help to support the channel and helps to get these messages out to other souls who may need to hear them. Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you stay up to date when I post future videos like this. I thank you guys so incredibly much for joining me here today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.